Well, hey there, it's that coding guy here, and today we're going to tackle Git, or at least installation and configuration of Git. Git's one of those things that I think a lot of people forget when newcomers are on the scene. That they kind of take for granted that everybody just knows how to use it, how to set it up, and it's one of the things that is really mystifying and a big obstacle to figure out because Git's a little weird. So I'm on a Windows machine and, it's November 2022 here. I don't know what this is going to look like when you're viewing Git's website, but find a download link or something here. I see I have downloads here, download for Windows. So I'll go to Windows. I'm on a 64-bit machine. I'll grab that guy. And that downloaded to my desktop. So I'll go ahead and run the installer. This installer is a bit of a beast. So, it's pretty intimidating. There's lots of stuff in here. But by and large, I'm going to accept the defaults. So let's run through this. We'll do C program files git. That's fine. Happens to already exist. I just uninstalled this real quick to reinstall it for y'all and show you the whole process. So I'm just going to say yes, that's fine. Now, when you right click later after we have installed Git, we're going to get a little thing here that says Git bash here. And there's also the option to have Git GUI here. Now, I personally never use the GUI. I don't like it cluttering up my context menu. I'm going to uncheck it. You do you. I always recommend Git on the command line for newcomers and not using the GUI to get more experience with command line stuff because I think it'll make you a better developer all around. But that's a tangent. So I'll do next now. It's asking to create a start menu folder. I don't need one of those. I'll go ahead and create that button or click that button there. I'll go ahead and use Vim as the default editor. That's fine. Adjusting the name of the initial branch in new repositories. It's very common to have the repository main branch be main now rather than master. Master is kind of an older deprecated term for those. So I'll go ahead and click down to override the default and specify it as the main branch there. But if you want to use master, that's cool. It's not going to affect too much there. I'll go ahead and accept the recommended button here. Also the default one there. Use OpenSSL, that's fine. I'll leave this as the default as well. Use Minty, that's fine. The default to fast forward or merge. That's good for me. It's fine if we use the credential manager and then enable file system caching. That's fine. And I don't need to experiment or have experimental control or support. So that's cool. And I'll just let this install. Cue a little bit of elevator music. Kind of wish I was better at post-production stuff. And video editing and stuff, and add some of that in here. But for now, you can imagine it. Cool. We'll do uncheck the view release notes there. Don't necessarily need that. Finish it off. Whew. We did it, folks. All right. So now if I right click here in my desktop, then I get a Git bash here on my context menu. And if I go over to this coding guy folder where I've got all my videos and stuff, I could Git bash here as well. And what that basically does, if I just close this and come back to my desktop, hit the Git bash here, it opens up Git bash to my desktop. Now, if I had added this to my start menu, I could go in there and just open up Git and it would open up to like a default location. And then I could navigate different directories with change directory and things like that. but this is a cool little shortcut to quickly get into a Git bash folder for where you're at. And if all of that seems confusing to you because you're totally new to Git, that's okay. No worries. We're going to perform some operations now that you can run from anywhere. So as long as you have your Git bash window open, it doesn't matter where it's pointed to, okay? And I'll create some other videos on Git to dive further into it, but this video I really just wanted to focus on installation and configuration, and we'll learn more about Git's concepts a little later in a different video. So now that we've got this installed, and I do have Git bash running, so installation was successful at least, I've got a couple of commands that we can use to help configure our local Git. And I'll put these in the course, or sorry, the YouTube description there, the video description, so that you can use these guys as well. The first one is going to be a command that configures our username. So basically, when we do work in Git later, it'll be associated with our username and email address. So the first one I'm going to paste in here with Shift Insert and use the arrow key on my keyboard to get in here inside the quotes and start removing this stuff. And I'm just going to type that coding guy and hit enter. Actually, I'll do that coding goo and hit enter. So if you messed up and something doesn't look right, no worries. We can just come back up and rerun that command, and it's just going to overwrite what we had previously. So this trips people up sometimes, but it's no worries. I just hit up on my keyboard to go back up my history list, which is a super handy. If I just continue pressing up and down on my keyboards, I'm scrolling back through the history of commands that I've run on this machine. So I am coming back here, and I'm going to re-enter this. Bang, that overwrites that coding goo. Gives me that coding guy, and I'm good to go. So if you messed up on any of these commands here that we do today, just rerun it. No worries. So this one is going to associate our email address with stuff too. This is pretty important when you are working on a team, or maybe you're checking out some open source stuff. This can be really good. So we'll do that codingguyhayes@gmail.com. Sweet. Now nothing's happening here. We're not getting like a thumbs up or anything like that to let us know that these have been successful, but we're also not getting any errors here, and so I'm going to have confidence that those are working just fine. The last thing we really need to do in order to set ourselves up for success with Git and start using it with GitHub or GitLab repos that we see out there, or maybe Bitbucket, is to create an SSH key. And as a newcomer, it's hard to kind of grok this information right out the gate. So what is an SSH key? It's basically a security measure. What we're going to do here is run a command that creates a key. It actually creates a two-part key. One is private and one is public. We're going to take the public one and we're going to put it up in our GitHub account so that when we interact with GitHub and try to push some code up there or pull some code down, GitHub is going to say, hey, are you who you say you are? Let me check your key. And so our computer will provide the key in this little handshake, and if they match, we're all good. If they don't match, then we won't be allowed to do the operation. So that's the basics of SSH there. So what we'll do here is paste in this command. Oops. And once again, we'll edit this to be our email address. If I could type, that would be fantastic. Cool. And we'll hit enter. So it's telling me that it's generating a public-private key pair. That's awesome. And it's saying, hey, where do you want to save this thing? By the way, this is the default place. Personally, I just want to use the default place. I don't want to mess with this. So I'm just going to hit enter. I also don't want a passphrase because they're a pain in the tuchus. So I'm just going to hit enter through that and enter through that again. And this is telling me, hey, your key has been created. And it got created in this path. C users, that coding guy, .ssh. Let's go look for it. So I've got my file explorer open here, and we'll go ahead and start going down that path with C users, that coding guy, .ssh. See, it's right up here. And we've got the ID underscore ED 25519, and then the same thing .pub. The .pub one is the public key that we're going to put up in our profile. So I'll right click this. I'm going to open with, and I have Notepad++. You can use WordPad or Notepad, whatever editor you like. So now this is my key. I'm going to click in here, Control A, Control C to copy. And I'm going to come over to my GitHub. And this is just inside one of my repos. It's not important. We'll click on the avatar up here in the top right and go to settings. Once we're in settings, we'll go over to the left nav and grab this SSH and GPG keys. I want to add a new SSH key. So this is one of the previous ones I had. I'll just delete that right now. You won't have to do that. So I'll add this. I'm going to use that coding guy as the title. You can just make your title whatever you want. Sometimes if you have different machines, you might want to have different keys on, well, you'll need to have different keys on different machines typically. So maybe you would want to name them so you know which one belongs to which machine or whatnot, but I don't need to do that. And then I'll paste that key into this section here and click Add SSH key. That's it. Now I'm set. So I should be able to run Git commands and interact with repositories on GitHub. And to prove this, what I can do is go to my account. I've got a repo here, and I'll put this link in there for you guys in the description if you need a quick and easy way to find a repo to try to clone it down. So that's what I want to do. I just want to clone this down. And to do that, I want to clone it down to prove that what we did today works, right? So to do that, I'm going to hit this code button here. I'm coming to the SSH tab here and hitting the copy button. So this copies the little SSH address. I'm going to come over back to my git bash window here, and I'm going to run this command git clone and paste in the thing that we just copied. And I'm going to hit enter. It's saying, hey, the authenticity of host github.com can't be established. The key is not known by any other names. Do you want to continue connecting? And I'll say yes. So it's saying, hey, we added this github.com to a list of known hosts using this key type, and that's all fine. All of this means that this was successful. And without getting too far into detail on what clone does, we can definitely go here and look and see that now my desktop has this Dungeon Keeper demo that I just cloned down. So as I said, I'll run some other videos on specific commands and what they do. But the fact that this was able to run correctly without giving me any sort of errors means that I'm now good to go as far as my Git installation and my SSH key being configured on GitHub in my machine. So now we're off to the races. We can clone down whatever we want. We can create new projects in GitHub and start pushing code up there and using Git. All right. So hope that helps demystify some of that process a little bit and get you going. Cheers.